What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another NFL video. It is time for week number 2. So we're going to dive into that slate. We're going to pick my favorite plays, and we'll talk about those here in this video. But before we do that, we're going to jump over there to the Guy Boston Sports website. It's where I put all of my final plays week to week, and you'll find a link down there in the pinned comment that's going to direct you over there to the website. So let's go ahead and jump over there. That way we can recap our plays from week 1. Let's see what we put in and how that ended up going down. In week 1, we put 5 plays in. We go 3-2 to open up the season. We took the Chiefs laying 3 points. They do not come through for us. They lose to the Chargers. Then we took Jamar Chase, an anytime touchdown. He does not find the end zone. The whole Bengals offense as a whole goes stale, man, in the second half. But the defense does come through. Good thing for us. We took Trey Hendrickson over half a sack, and he does cash for us. Then we took Jalen Warren of the Steelers over 18.5 receiving yards, and that was a cash as well. Took the Titans, a team total under 16.5, and they hit for us also. So 3-2, like I said, on the day. We do end up profitable on the day, up a quarter unit because we only put half units in on everything, right? Playing everything pretty conservative here to open up the season. Profit is profit, man. We will take that quarter unit and look to stack up on it here in week number 2. So smash that like button down there for me, guys. If you can, hit subscribe if you have not already. Let's jump into these plays, man. First play I'm going to be looking at is going to be in that Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants game, kicking off at 1 p.m. Looking at the Cowboys on the side. Now, there's definitely been some line movement in this one, man. I was looking at this earlier today. It was sitting at -6 for the Cowboys. That's now at plus money. Now, we look down here. We can see there's a 5.5 at -103, a 5 at -110, a 4.5 at -110 as well over there at DraftKings. So we definitely love to see that. Look at them head-to-head, man. You know, the Cowboys covered that both times last season. They covered that 4.5-point spread. And we look at this insight as well from Outlier. The Giants are 2-10 against the spread in their last 12 games when they've been made an underdog. That's only a 16% rate that they have covered over those 12 games. Dallas does get the benefit of playing in the season opener this year, right? Playing last Thursday. They have 3 extra days of prep heading into this game. And we look at each of these two last week. The Giants did struggle against a good Commanders team. They only managed 6 points in that one, though. They lost by 15. Now, the defense did play a bend but don't break type of a game in that one. They gave up over 425 yards of total offense, over 6.5 yards per play, and they were gashed on the ground for 220 yards. And you look at the Cowboys, man, they had success offensively week 1 against the defending champs and a very good defensive unit from Philadelphia that, sure, they were down Jalen Carter, but very solid unit still nonetheless, man. And they did well on the ground also with a 61.9% success rate per handoff. That is tops in the NFL for week 1. And here's the thing, the Commanders missed on a few plays, man. They left multiple scores on the table. The Cowboys, they whiffed on a few themselves in week 1. The weather delay didn't help Dallas either. They definitely lost some momentum through the air after the break in action. And this New York defense, man, it isn't going to hold up like Philadelphia. You look at them DVOA, right? This is from last week, sitting at 31st, 21st against the pass, dead last against the run. Dallas is dominant at home as well with Dak Prescott throughout his career, man. 43-18 all time. He's won 7 of 8 now as well at home against the Giants throughout his career. The Cowboys have also won 15 of their last 16 games against the Giants. So definitely liking the Cowboys here on the side. I definitely like that at -4.5 as well. And next up, we'll jump back over here to Outlier. Check out Joe Burrow of the Bengals. His rushing yards over 5.5, sitting at -110 over there at Bet365. Number looks pretty low to me. Look at this insight from Outlier. We can see that he has exceeded this 5.5 rushing yards in 5 straight games at home, averaging 15.8 rushing yards a game in those, including 25 in his last home game last year in that thriller against the Broncos. We look at him in 2024 as a whole at home, right? Let's see. We'll filter this to only home games. We can see 6 out of the 8 games at home, a 75% hit rate, 12.38 yards um, on the ground in each of those games as well. And we can scroll over here and look at the Jaguars as well. Sitting for rushing yards allowed, sitting at 25th. Against that QB position, not much better, sitting at 24th. The Jags defense did show some flashes of improvement in week 1, specifically getting after the quarterback. We got to give him some credit, right? Just 1 sack, but 15 total pressures. But we saw Bryce Young escape that pressure, man, to the tune of 40 yards, clearing his 14.5 rushing yard prop by a landslide, right? And just watching the presser from Burrow this week after practice, he didn't feel like he utilized his legs. He didn't scramble out of the pocket enough facing that Cleveland Brown defense, especially in the second half when that pocket started collapsing on him. Now, look, I don't think that he'll face the same kind of pressure that he faced against Cleveland against this Jacksonville team, but I do think that Jacksonville front seven is doing a better job about getting some pressure to the quarterback and have shown some improvements, like I said, in the offseason acquisitions, but also from what we saw from them in week one. So I think they'll be able to get after him a little bit, right? I don't think, like I said, it's not going to be the pressure that he faced in Cleveland, but I do think that they can disrupt things a little bit and force him to move outside the pocket. Now, I think that Burrow is going to look to extend the play, and I do think that he'll look for his targets down the field in Chase and Higgins. So I don't think that he's going to crush this number by a landslide or anything. But I think 5.5 is a little bit disrespectful, man. He can get that in one run. You know what I mean? So, and he will do that. You find us on a 3rd and 7, a 3rd and 8, a 3rd and long, where things start to break down. That's where we'll cash this play, man. So I like this play a lot. I actually love this play, man. 5.5 rushing yards for Burrow at home, especially, man. We saw that prop as well, or those trends. Definitely like this one a lot. The next up, I'll be looking at Cam Ward of the Titans, looking at that Rams and Tennessee Titans game. I'm looking at Cam Ward under 205.5 passing yards. We can see that at -115 over there at BetMGM and Hard Rock Bet. Now, you can get this at a lot of different numbers right now, man. A lot of different lines are floating around out there. But 205, 206 seems about to be the highest that we can get for an under. We're going to get the better price, obviously, at 205.5. Now, we can see that he obviously came well under this mark in week one in his debut, right? His NFL debut on the road in Denver. 112 yards, just 12 of 28 passings for what, 43%, a passer rating of 54.5. Now, he did not throw any picks, but he was sacked 6 different times, right? Now, like I said, though, this was against Denver and this was in Denver. So we do have to keep that in mind. This one will be at home, so he does have that playing into his favor. But man, this Rams defense isn't gonna be this isn't a cakewalk either. These are two very tough defenses to open up your career against. And this isn't a knock on Cam at all, man. He flashed signs in week one against a really tough Denver defense, like I said, on the road in his debut, with that altitude and the Bronco Nation faithful to contend with as well. This Rams defense, man, they just got after a Houston offense that's projected and expected to be much better than this Tennessee unit, right? Holding the Texans to just 9 points, pressuring QB CJ Stroud 18 different times as well in the process. Now, Cam just isn't going to get the help from his teammates, man, here to make me feel confident looking anywhere but an under as far as his passing yards are concerned. Between the drops, the unforced errors, the turnovers, the line not holding up, like I mentioned already, Cam was sacked 6 different times in week one alone, man. All of these are concerns for this Tennessee offense and lead me to look at an under here for Cam Ward. I'll also be leaning towards the Rams in this one in general, man. I think that line came out pretty low because of Tennessee and, they played a closer game with Denver in Denver. I think that they're kind of being a little overvalued here coming into this game here. I think that this Rams team is a much more veteran unit than what they just face with that Denver squad, right? You got a veteran Super Bowl champion quarterback. You got a Super Bowl champion coach over there with this LA team. So I'd be leaning towards the Rams in this game as well. And the last play I'll be looking at is going to be in that Los Angeles Chargers and Las Vegas Raiders game. Be looking at the Chargers on the side in this one. We can see the Chargers are 3.5 point favorites right now, sitting at plus 111 over there at No Vig. Now, head to head, they did clear this mark. They covered this against the Raiders in both of those games last season, beating them 34-20 and 22-10 in each of the games last season. Covering against the spread in each of those games as well. And we can see this insight from Outlier talking about them against that spread some more. They're 8-2 against the spread over their last 10 games. That's an 80% hit rate. Over there on the Vegas side, Pete Carroll is a great coach. He's going to help build this Raiders team up and back into contention. But Jim Harbaugh is on year 2 with the Chargers. He's also a great coach. And they look to further improve upon where they left off last season, which was an improvement from the season before. So after that week one victory, man, it does look like the Chargers are trying to take that next step into, one of the top tier teams in the AFC. It kind of looks like they got the pieces, man. Now, an impressive win over the Chiefs in week one is a great place to start. And how they did so was even more impressive for me, man. This is a team that's expected to be a run heavy team. But that passing attack looked every bit to have taken a step forward from what we saw from a year ago. Man, Herbert was lights out against a KC defense that was fifth for PFF coverage last season. He threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks in that one. 25 completions on 34 attempts, a passer rating of over 130. Now, the Raiders were able to hold the Patriots offense in check for the most part there in week one, man. Just 13 points put up by New England in that one, but the Patriots weren't able to establish any kind of a run game. I like the Chargers to utilize the likes of Amari and Hampton, Najee Harris even, man, and Herbert was able to break free for 32 yards on 7 attempts against the Chiefs as well. This is not only a good matchup for Hampton, but Herbert as well. And then we scroll over here and look, man, just a lot of fairly toughs over here for Geno, Genti, the receiving core, right? Brock Bowers is questionable here as well. We just scroll on up and look, man, it's easy to see all that red over there, right? On the Raiders side, offensively, it's a whole lot of green over here defensively, though, for the Chargers. Now, guys, if you're not familiar what we're looking at here, this is the NFL dashboard that Ev put together. A phenomenal tool, man. And you can see up here, we can look through each and every game on the slate, and it's going to break everything down for you. Man, the amount of information on this is incredible. We got breakdowns for each of the quarterbacks at the top. We can break down each of the offenses and defenses from their last three, their away, their season average, and then the home team as well, right? The away and home. Just a lot of different ways to look at things. Look at the zone and man coverage frequencies, pressure and the blitz frequency of each of these defenses, right? Then what we just looked at, this is their matchup kind of based off of each of the opponent's DVOAs, what we can expect. And like I said, kind of expecting a fairly tough matchup. But yeah, like I said, kind of expecting a fairly tough game there for most of the players here on the Raider side going up against that Chargers defense over here. And guys, you can get access to that dashboard for just $6.99 if you become a member. That's going to give you access to the NFL Dash. Now, there's also more dashboards as well for each of the sports on the site, for the MLB, for the NBA, and we do have a WNBA one in the works as well that we'll get up and going for next season. So $10.99 for all sports, $6.99 if you just want that NFL Dash. But anyways, man, all in all, I like the Chargers here in this one. Like I said, on the side, laying those 3.5 points. The Raiders, man, they just don't have the pass rush that the Chargers faced last week in the Chiefs. And these Chargers, man, they're well balanced offensively. They're aggressive defensively with a knack for forcing turnovers as well. So I'll lay the points with the Chargers here on the road here, thinking that, man, I think they're going to make a statement, right? Go 2-0 to open up the year and kind of put themselves there at the top of the AFC in that conversation at least. And that is going to do it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show today. Hope you found the content helpful and useful. And if you did, please don't forget to smash that like button on your way out. Hit subscribe if you have not already. And that will do it, man. Hope you guys all cash out and have yourselves a great week, too. And I'll see you back for week number 3.